Okay. Well, I don't have restream for some reason. Hello, kind and gentle folk. How are we doing today? Just trying to, as always, get something to work. Henry, can you say something? Are you there?
Something, something, I'm here.
Okay, I see desktop audio. I'm not seeing Restream, any of the Restream videos. Is Restream working? Are we going to other channels?
Yeah, I see Facebook, but no YouTube.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I don't know what to say about Facebook. Oh, there's a YouTube. Oh, good.
All right.
All right, so I guess I'm just not seeing Restream's threads. I guess they're going through. Oh, that's better than not going through. Hello. Oh, wait. We're on my recording settings. That's just me. I'm on the wrong scene in OBS. No one can see. Hey, look at there. That's probably better, huh? Everybody, I was doing some recording today, so I was doing my face. And yes. Okay, well, let us get into it. Righty. Yeah, look. I love how people come in. We had like 38 people. We're down to 11. No one likes it when I start. All right, for all of those on YouTube who are on YouTube, I can't tell who you are. Hit subscribe and hit the like button, and that really helps us out. All right, hello from Argentina. So do we have an order here?
Yeah.
All right, what's our order?
Miko.
Okay, Miko. Boop. I assume that's the head. All right. There you go. Is Miko here?
Not yet, at least.
Okay. Well, we'll go over it, and if he comes in, we can always go back and talk about it. So I think you did a good job about making it a little bit more in motion. And
Oh,
whoa,
they're here.
woohoo!
Yes.
There you are. How are you doing? Did you have a good week?
A very good week.
That's a big bonus. All right. So I like what you did. You know, rocking it, giving it some motion. Yeah. I mean, your details are getting tight. And like I said, I wouldn't worry about the undercuts on this stuff because, oh, you know what we do need to do? We need to start sword soft. So I can draw on things. Maybe? Where's my little window? Interesting. Sword shop is not. Oh, there it goes. Enable control bar. Hide that. Let's bring control bar over here. Let's turn these guys off. Turn that guy on. All right, there we go. I like putting. I like how you. Shoot. Can you all still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. One sec. Circuit breakers are blowing. Give me a sec.
I thought he had that fixed.
I love how it just, no, it just turned, hold on, I gotta turn that off. What's even funnier is that AC's been on all day and there's nothing different turned on. I don't know why. We start to stream and it decides it's going to pop.
Weird.
It's just the joys. All right. Sorry about that. I like how you stylized the tongue, but you did put the ridge in it. No, it's... Your edge details are good. You're scooping. I'd say maybe... Maybe just get this into a slightly... Turn symmetry off. Turn that down. Maybe just get this to be a slightly more S-shaped curve. Because out here you got it pretty well. This just had a little flat in it.
Mm-hmm.
Just try to get that edge nice and curvy. See what I mean? That just follows. It's just a little cleaner. And I would probably do the same here. Instead of that being straight, just put a little bit of a curve in there. And then things are continuing to move, right? You don't have any flat spots. Your brows and your leaves are looking good. No, I'd say it looks great. How do you feel about it?
It seems that you did more than I am.
No.
The final version is fully based on your iterations.
Well, that's okay. I didn't do them. No, I like
Okay,
it.
thank you very much. I understand.
Yeah, no, I think
I will update the leaf.
yeah, no, I think you killed it. I think it's real close. Just the little thing there, just so that's not flat, and then just make this a nice curve. And I think you are on it. I like what you did with the tongue. Everybody looks nice, tight. The details are clean and sharp. Looks great. Now you get to start your next epic venture.
Yes, this is the plan.
What's next?
Another boost, probably.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I think that, at some point, feasibly, you can take this, and instead of this just being a swirl, this could become part of that plant, right? Where you have the leaves, have the leaf come in here, so it becomes part of the stand instead of it just being this leaf sticking out. And this crisscross pattern could make a nice, if you had that pattern down here, could break the pattern of the base down there up a little maybe. But that's neither here nor there. That's just something to think about. Yeah, no, it looks great.
I'm not sure that I will use that. Change the base, because I will probably need to produce it separately if I produce it.
Yeah. No. Oh, I just meant the pattern-wise, not necessarily the whole thing. But yeah, no, it looks awesome.
Yes, I understand. I think about my production limitations.
Yeah. No. Awesome.
Thank you very much once again.
Of course,
I
my
am
friend.
super grateful to
No,
be
don't
able
be
to
silly.
participate in streams.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad you're doing it. And I look forward to seeing what you're doing next, for sure.
See you then.
Indeed. All right, Henry, who's next?
Pull up my list. Up next is Faisal.
Which one? I think we have ring
Just do all
7.
three.
We have ring 9, ring 75, and ring 76, right?
Yep.
Okay. Taking a new turn. I like it. And I think you actually did it okay. I mean, in the sense of this thickness, you might just be a little bit thick here. Let's see. Because that's right about the center of the finger. What do you have there? Let's turn on double so I can see the backside. W, let's go to Y. Why? Because we like you. Well, it's only 3.5, but it climbs pretty quick there, doesn't it? There you're at what? Almost 5. And here it comes again. It completely depends on, this is where printing it is going to tell you. I think you might, and this is just a maybe, you might be a little thick right here. Right where, I don't know, I gotta, remind me to turn that back face off that move as a save when I saved the profile that was on. That's an annoying thing to have saved. You might just need to change this just a little bit in there. But that's, that would be a print and see, you know, how that turns out. Is there, actually it's up here, brush, planer, planer line, right, you might need to, oops, just get this where this is a more consistent angle, so you're not pinching in there. This might be a little fat to wear, but your patterns are looking good. I know that you you like the hand crafted feeling, right? Because you can always come in here, mask this off and trim front and get a nice flush, but it's not really the aesthetic you go for, so ignore that. Let's get this back out. I'd print it and see. I just think it might wear where your finger has to ride a little high. It might be a little hard to function with. But I think design-wise, you're succeeding here. I think the only thing I see design-wise that's an issue is these edges right here. Let's go to your full render. Everything is so square. I don't think I would go to the scallop. I think I would stick with my, yeah, let's, get square alpha in there. I think I'd probably stick with something that retained that, since that really is your theme in here. There's nothing else scallopy in the ring. So I think I would probably, you know, transfer these to be more steppy than scallopy. And that way you're just sticking with your same vocabulary. Yep, nope, looks good. It's fun. I'll tell you, you're going to remember that bad boy. Bonk! That looks great. All right, let's look at 75. I like that you're exploring some of the, like the shapes of the rings, where they're a little bigger and up top now. I think these are kind of fun. I think these actually would do well too. These are nice. They're good solid forms. I mean, your over and unders are 1,000 times better. You're being really consistent with it. Yeah. Honestly, that looks good. I like it. And then this one. This one's pretty rad. Looks awesome. How thick is that? It's about 5 mil. You might want to consider, and once again, this comes down to maybe printing it out and trying it, but you may want to consider move infinite C. You may want to consider just making this a little thicker and a little bit more of an angle, only because that becomes a lot more stable. And if you do bump it, I mean, this is going to become a sweater trap, and that there's nothing wrong with that. I make things that are sweater traps all the time, so don't, it's just something to consider. But I would maybe think about just thickening that up a touch. It'll just make that a lot more solid, so if it does take a ding, you're not going to collapse the whole tip. It'll just kind of nudge these little leafy things. But you're doing a lot better with retaining your layers and keeping your design vocabulary nicely. And there you go. See, that one works totally fine, where these are nice deep cuts, so even if they do take a little bit of a beating, that that detail will hold up. Yeah. I would consider, because you got your steps nicely. Right, I mean, you're doing the layering well. But I would consider coming back by and, hold on, let's, come on. There we go. And just clarifying these edges a touch. Because see how that's a soft transition there. If you come in and just give it that lip on the edge, and then you can come back in from the front SK trim, so it's not a physical thing, you know, it's just, you're just giving that little bit of the inclination of the step. And I think that'll help some of your transitions that get soft. Yeah, like in here, if you just came through with your clay tubes and just ran a little over the edge. Right, just using the edge of that clay tube to give you that step, and it'll help delineate the transitions a little. Right. Maybe here. Where those transitions just become a little bit more sharp, just a little bit more clean. Nope, looking good, looking good. All right. Where are we, sir?
Is that all three?
I think so, yeah. So is it this
Right.
rose?
Arnold.
Is it rose bracelet? Arnold, yeah. There we go. So the only thing I'd say, your models look nice. I would say that you're probably going to want to have a real flat as your center there, because you don't want these to be very pokey. And I know that obviously you haven't booleaned it yet, and that's fine. But think about where it's going to come into contact with the body. So when you do have these outstretches, you usually want them to actually touch so it does still wear as flat. And then the only thing I'd say design-wise is I'm assuming this is the top, right? So the one thing you want to think about when you're designing things is directionality. And I know that it seems logical, that you're getting the leaves and then the flowers are blooming, but they're blooming down. And unless this is going to be worn like this, under normal circumstances, you do want your florals and flowers to bloom towards the viewer, right? Now, let's say this was a laurel, like the Roman laurels. Since that's such a defined form, you could feasibly get away with it because then it's a laurel bracelet. But that's such a defined thing that has a very specific, it's a very specific thing, I guess. Where here you could want to reevaluate these and figuring out how maybe you can get them to go into the flower, right? Because this is the direction that you usually want to design things, just so it's going with viewership, right? Or with the view, because it doesn't make a lot of design sense for things to grow down and away from the eye or from the viewer. So there may be a way to take these and sort of blend them where you get the leaves going in both directions, maybe, or something in that vein, because you're very rarely going to see something going away from the viewer like that. But the images are nice and your models are nice. I just think that this looks like the bottom of the bracelet, right? If it's like this, then you're wearing it and the flowers are coming up and around, So I would think, or try to work out a way to get your florals facing the other direction. But I mean, the composition of them is very nice. I mean, they work well. I think that, once again, you haven't joined this yet. I don't think you have you? No. Where are those joined? Stop it. No, they're not. Okay. Just make sure that when you do join them, that these, are clean and blended intersections. So you don't ever want to see individual parts. And I mean, unless these have a stem and a vein, if these were like little separate flowers and they kind of had like a little, and then it was a vein and then and that went down. If it's that separated, fine, but I don't think this is. I would just make that blend. It just leads to cleaner forms and it doesn't look like you forgot. And that's the key, intentionality, right? But all in all, it looks really nice. So just think about your directionality. Your rose actually is very nice. That'll read very well actually, because you have nice transitional edges. It's thick enough to read as steps. That'd be pretty. When will I teach human anatomy again? Oh, I actually got it loaded. Haha. Here, look at this one. This is good stuff. I always try to show you guys on my phone, but I actually have it somewhere. If I can remember what it's called. Really? Hold on. It's got to have a desktop icon here. There it is. So I finally got them to send. They only activate so many downloads, and so I had to send into them to get the downloads. But this is a really good tool. The anatomy for sculptors is really nice, but this one, what's really good about this is, like, I mean, if you ever want to learn anatomy, you can actually take courses. Like, it does all these quizzes, and it'll quiz you on your here, muscle actions. But we're always talking about how hard the armpit is to visualize. So this shows you sort of what it's doing. But you can really get in and see where these connections are and how they're functioning. So this is just a spectacular way of viewing the anatomy. Now you can come back out and let's look at that armpit again. Let's go to regions. And you can hide the nerves and the veins. And you can just come in here and really look at how these muscles are, right? How the bicep is actually coming up and connecting. Now, I wish there were a way to move the body, like in these, not where they are the animations, but like where you can move it. But I think this is a really good example of what's going on in the pec, right? Because that's your pectoral minor. This is your pectoral major. And your bicep is intersecting up here. And then these are coming in over here. So you kind of have this open gap, right? There is no muscle crossing over here in the armpit. What you're getting is the lat and then your serratus. And what's cool about this too is, like, you can come here and you can hide it. Fade so you can see what's going on underneath it. It tells you the names of everything, and they're really just really, I think this is a great anatomy resource. And they have it where it's, they have all the I mean, it's a full anatomy course. They have all kinds of stuff in other ones. Like there's like 5 or 6 different products, but yeah. So, haha, this one's really good. But yeah, they go through all kinds of the muscle actions, so you can see which muscles are flexing and how, how they're working with one another. Like, so there's your scapula's coming forward from your pectoralis minor. But you can see that there's nothing connecting in the armpit really, and that's why you have so much motion there in your shoulder, right? And then your serratus are pulling that forward. And I just find that this gives you a really, really, really good breakdown of like how things work. It's really awesome. Supposedly they're coming out with a new version of it soon, so they should. Because I mean, This has been the same one since I think 2017. Is that what it? Yeah, 2017 edition. But you can see it goes through everything. It's really, really a good resource. And now we can use it. Yay! Instead of me trying to hold my phone up. But I would strongly, these guys are awesome, and Anatomy for Sculptors is awesome. So I would say those are probably your two best references, easy references. Okay. Did anyone unload anything else, or are we just going to sculpt for the rest of the evening? What's going on out there?
And that's it so far.
Okay. So what are we going to sculpt? Nothing. It's like chirp chirp. Coffee. Good. No opinions? Nothing? No.
Sculpt a beer stein.
Work on the beer stein?
Sculpt a beer stein.
All right. We can do a beer stein. Ooh. This will let us use... I haven't used this in a long time. Where is it? Curve lathe. It's been so long I actually forget. Let's do this on a flat plane now. Actually, I want that to be front. Give me front. Front. There we go. Let's turn on our grid just so I know I'm starting at half. Stop you. All right, beer stein we want. There's my curve. It's going to be a meaty beer stein. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Good start.
Like a bell.
Well, you know, when you're drunk, you don't want it to fall over. And it also acts as a monkey trap. So like when you're trying to clean it, and you stick your hand in it to clean it, then you try to get your hand out. All kinds of tests you got to put in the old beer stein.
We do have one new file now.
Do we now?
We do.
Forget it, man. I'm sculpting. No. All right. You got me all excited on my beer stein.
You know?
I know, right? See how it is? I will say one thing. The it's down. Oh. Hey, benders. That's a big file. It is hot. Is it hot where you are yet?
Right now, no. It's like 70 outside.
So maybe our miserable.
Gets to about 100 in the day, though.
Yeah. This is not Pacific Northwest temperatures, that's for sure. It's crazy. Crazy talk. You can do it. Come on. Did I just do all of them? That's interesting. Then let's look at the picture. Does it came with a reference? Ah.
Hello.
Hello. Was that a reference or a rendering?
Oh, that's a rendering.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, you nailed it. It looks exactly like that.
No, that was the rendering. I wanted to have your opinion on that as well.
Yeah. Let's look at our model here. Yeah, the form's nice. Let's go back and look at your little groover here. Let's make this bigger. No, the rendering's nice.
Appreciate it.
I think so. I think on this stuff where you're trying to get like those layers, that separation, I think really coming in and defining these forms instead of carving them in, having them be, come on, there we go, where they are, and I'm just using twist or SK twist right now, but where they're actually off that surface, and the same here.
So you're saying instead of carve, add geometry, like at the.
Yeah, I would have them be distinctive layers, because what's happening, even in the rendering, what's happening is there's a lot of it blending together. And I know, I mean, it's obviously you're not highlighting or low lighting, so you're not trying for a lot of distinction there, obviously. But I think that these things really are trying to be above one another. Like right in here, I'd be careful because you've crossed a couple of these lines, right? This is something that's on top, right? And then this is coming in, and that's coming in, and that's coming in, and that's coming in. But there's the feeling that this is what's on top, and then these are coming in and blending. I'm not sure how you put these on. What tool were you using when you were stroking? A standard brush?
No, I have a pinch brush.
A pinch brush, okay. So what I would do when you're starting to visualize and conceive these layered tendony sort of things is I would use clay tubes. I know that's shocking. I know, shocking. Hold your breath. It's okay. It was shocking. I would use clay tubes. And why is because you get the edges off of clay tubes, and it's very easy to start to define what's on top of one another.
Oh,
And,
I mean, those I did them with the clay tube,
oh, you did?
and then I don't know how to say it, like the lines I did them with the pinch brush.
Oh, okay.
But those I did them with the clay tube.
Yeah, I think you want to even push it just a little bit more so you retain those edges.
Okay.
Because I think you softened your blending, right, where these are coming in. You lose the step there. And so I think that...
I don't...
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I don't know why I always smooth everything after I brush.
Yeah,
I
it
use the
happens. I do too. I smooth. Everyone's like, Tomas, you do it like 15 times. You put it on, you smooth it off. You put it on, you smooth it off. I'm like, yeah, I really do. I think that when you went through and pinched and slashed, you just lost this idea of these layers, right? So I would just be a little bit more careful when you're doing your smoothing and your pinching, so you don't lose the feeling I mean, see, I didn't do much to those, and these now feel very distinctly over and under one another, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I think the same can be said here. Just leaving those edges just a little bit, and those edges are going to tell that story of what is over, what is under, what's binding and blending. You know, same here. And for cracks, and especially since you have this nice slash tool that you're using that's leaving these really lovely sharp crisp slashes or chinks or you know whatever, when you're putting these lines in, I tend to use orb cracks for these, but and I like orb
I use
crack.
use that one.
Oh,
I
you
use
did?
I have the brush pack from some artist, I don't remember his name, that he has a pack of brushes
Uh-huh.
and he has all of these
Yeah.
he has the orb cracks and the slash
Yeah.
thing.
And so instead of smoothing those, when I use orb cracks, I come back and I do it very lightly. Do it with a light hand. And you can then pinch these in. And you'll notice I'm not going to go back and smooth that because I want everything sharp. And see how that retains that sharpness where here you're losing it because you put it in and you smoothed it out, right?
So wait, how did you pinch the thing in?
All right, fine, I'll show you. Here, let me turn the intensity down just a little bit more. So I come in and I do it where I'm not just digging it in, I'm trying to change the thickness of it as I go along, right?
Okay.
So you can see that I have it here. So now I come back in with pinch, but I do it really lightly. I'm just coming in and I mean, I'm barely touching it, right? I'm not just, right?
Okay.
I'm just coming in and just tapping it very lightly because I'm not trying to distort my mesh. And what that does is as it brings those two things together, it'll slowly, you know, it's pinching, so it slowly raises those two edges. And that actually makes it look much crisper because you're getting these highlight edges, right? Where those
Yeah, that
are,
looks a lot better.
yeah. And then don't touch smooth, right? Because you want that to be sharp. And I think those cracks, you know, especially when you're using something like this, which is a very nice, very sharp feel, you definitely want to keep those sharp. And I would say you probably want to do a similar thing for these edges, except I would use SK Twist. Give it
Okay,
a pretty
so I do have a question with that you're doing right now.
Mhm.
So so first I should, okay, let's say I'm using the clay tube because that's how I made it. Like I
Sure.
use the clay tube to make those
Yeah, let
make
me,
those bones that are there.
sure.
And then after you do them, how do you mark them? Like to say, okay, this is the end of the bone.
Right.
Like I need to I need to pinch to use the pinch brush first or not.
I wouldn't use a pinch brush at all on the edges. Well, maybe at some point, but so clay tubes. We're at clay tubes right now, right? So I'm coming in and I'm defining the outside edge of my bone plate. And then I'm going to take SK clay fill and I'm going to come up behind it and just fill in that crack. And now we're sort of there. I'll come back with SK trim polish and I will kind of knock it in and get it over. And you can see I already have an edge now, right? Because I leave those clay tube. I really use that edge of the clay tubes to define my outside edges, right? I try to put edges in where I don't go back and really futz with them. Now, let's say that, you know, we've done a little bit more and, you know, we got this a little softer and we've done other stuff and now I've lost that edge. So SK Twist, I come in and this is a hair tool, I guess. This is one of his hair tools. I just use it for edges. I come in and I go back over my edge. I go to SK Clay Fill and I use Alt on the underside because you see I'm just pushing that lip down, right? Because what we have down here is the edge is coming up like this, and then there's a little scoop, and this is doing this, right? You see what I mean?
Yep.
And there was that little scoop there, and that gives you that little bright edge right there. So with the SK Clay Fill on Alt, it's subtractive, so it works that edge off, so I don't have that bright edge right there. And then it gives me this nice rolled edge, which is going to separate it from the layer below. Come back with SK Clay Fill, and I'm just going to backfill that edge a little. And what that does is it leaves this edge semi-round, right? So basically what we have is a lip that looks like that. And then this is flat. And that bright, that half round on the edge, as opposed to it being sharp, really gives you a nice overhang feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. I just never use any of the brushes you have said.
yeah, Sakaki Kauru's brushes, I think that we have a link to him somewhere. Yeah. Is that it? I'm sure he'll post the link to Sakake's brushes. So all of these brushes I use that are SK brushes are Sakaki Kauru's brush library or brush, the brushes that he made, and I'm a big fan of them. And then, like, you can see, if I didn't want it to be that slopey, I'll just come in with clay tubes or something, and then, you know, you can futz with it to build it up more. But that little edge, I like that half roll on it, because it really separates. See how far that separates it? It really gives you a visual of that separation. So here, let's do it with this little guy right here. We're going to come in.
When I was doing those, like, I just couldn't pinch harder than I was doing it already.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I do them?
Right. Yeah, pinching doesn't really help in that case, because you're not getting a step layer, it's pinching them, right? So when you're just trying to take a valley and pinch it together, that helps. Or if you're trying to, let's say you wanted this to be a nice sharp edge, like a facet, right? I can see coming in and using pinch up here to define this as a, you know, a crisp edge sort of. But I try not to use it pinch that aggressively, because it really mangles your meshes. It's really hard to do anything after pinch if you do it aggressively.
Okay.
And so here, right, I just used clay tubes, and I actually brought it up so it's not on the same level as the one below it. Flattened it out a little. SK twist. I'm just going to rotate that, and then it's directional, so I go the other direction to do the other side. Clay fill, hold down Alt, knock the lip off back here. SK fill, I'm going to get rid of the return lip there, so now it's only on the outside. And now look at how far that's standing off that surface. I mean, even back here, you really can tell that that's no longer on that surface, right?
Yep.
So I would, wherever you are trying to define something as sitting off first, with clay tubes, make sure that it really is above it, right? So we're just going to come in here and fill this in. There's our little sternum thing. And so now these are actually higher than the layer behind them. I'm going to come in with Alt and kind of flatten that out some. SK twist. You want to make sure it's small. Get that there. Get that there. Clay fill.
But I still don't get the difference between that brush you're using right now and the pinch brush. Like, they're both carving a hole in the...
No, so, okay. So this one is actually twisted. So with pinch, here, let's get a flat plane here. Boop. Divide. get some good resolution there. Okay. Oop, we don't need 67 million polys. But whatever. Okay. So pinch, right? Let's look at our geometry. Pinch. Or and you can see here, let me turn it up so it's usually I have my pinch turned down really low because I don't really use it to let's kick it up though. And so you can see pinch is dragging all that in, right? And so if you've clay tubed this, right, you get your clay tubes. Let's turn this off. Clay tube edge number 1. Clay tube edge number 2. So you did your clay tube, and then you're coming in and pinching the edge, like such. Oh, hold on. I turned it up way too much now. You're sort of doing this to sharpen that edge. Is that what you're doing?
Yep.
Okay. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking SK Twist. And I'm doing this. And let us look at the silhouettes and see what's happening here. Let's double so we can see both sides. So see with the pinch, it's drawing up, right? It's pulling this up and pulling this up because you're pinching here, right? So it's trying to make a point. And why it appears to be working is you have sort of this, and what you're trying to do when you're pinching is you're trying to get that to happen, right? I mean, that's the point of pinching, is to get that edge to appear to be a sharp edge. But what it's also doing is it's pulling this up to that point. You see what I mean? See from here,
Yep.
from there to there, you can see it pull up. So in all reality, you're actually shortening the height of this step. And that's why after one smoothing, you're losing that separation. Where SK twist is actually twisting the surface. So it's, do you see the difference here? It didn't pinch this, it rolled it. Right, so what SK twist is doing is it's taking this surface, it's dragging it around, and if I put it on very high, it would start to do this to the edge, right? This is what it's trying to do. It's twisting that surface like that. So what we've done, come on. So the process of this is with the clay fill is when you come in here, no, clay fill, oh, it is clay fill. When you come in here with the negative, or the alt, right? I'm coming through and I'm flattening this out with the alt. Yeah. And then when I'm filling, I don't fill all the way to the edge. I'm just filling from this high point back. So I'm coming here and I'm leaving that half round. Do you see?
Yep.
So instead of pinching, I'm actually like doubling the size of the step, right? Because my silhouette is that, and your silhouette, you might get a sharp point here, but you've also drawn all this up, so you're getting something that's looking like that. And do you see this, the height of that step compared to the height of this step? And this step has a round edge instead of a point edge. It has this like round edge. And what that does is it reflects light from more angles. So it actually makes that edge look brighter. Um, here,
Okay.
let's see.
Yeah. Now I get it.
Yeah, let's,
Now I can see the difference.
yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Where's Alt? There's Alt. We'll just come by, knock that down, fill that up. And we'll lower this because 64 million polys is not going to smooth very well.
Oh, but if no, it doesn't have 64.
I just had
Oh, wait.
64 build.
Oh yeah, okay.
See, I think we were at 64, weren't we? Yeah. Oh, 16. Sorry. And so then if I want this to be sharp, this is where I take SK trim polish and just hit this edge. But technically that's not 90 degrees, right? We still have that lip going on there. You see what I mean? So we're actually getting, instead of this reads super, super sharp, but
And I should not smooth that, right?
yeah, if you smooth it, you're going to lose it. Like, if you do need to smooth, right? There's nothing wrong with smoothing. Here, let's lower res. But make sure you're not smoothing your edge, right? I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to smooth up under here. And then I'm going to smooth back over here. But just be careful not to come in and just hammer that lip. Because, see, we've now lost that wave